Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, when around a narcissist, they cause a lot of stressful situations. Whether that's a narcissistic parent, a narcissistic partner, a narcissistic boss, we end up living in so much turmoil and so much stress around them, sending our bodies into the survival responses, namely flight, fright, freeze or fawn. In the 1920s, a psychologist named Walter Cannon described what he called the acute stress response of fight or flight. Over the years, it has been continued to be studied and developed. This video is going to look into more of how our bodies can respond to narcissistic abuse. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about the narcissist personality disorder to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with in your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you overcome narcissistic abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. When you're around a narcissist, they can cause so much turmoil within your life. If your subconscious believes you can conquer the danger, your body might jump into the fight mode. If you believe there's no hope, you might run away, going into the flight mode. If you think you cannot win by flight or fight, you might freeze. Fawn is when these three things don't work. You find the best way to protect yourself is to go along with it and try to win over the person who's trying to abuse you, fawning to the narcissist behaviour. When you've left a narcissist, a lot of those around you that haven't experienced it might not understand it or might question why you didn't leave sooner. You might have those questions within yourself, and other people's responses isn't going to be helpful. You may still be feeling fear, shame, alienation, rage and grief, or depression and anxiety. You may now have CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, because being around a narcissist is highly stressful. This is an attachment disorder. It is a psychological disorder which can happen to your children or yourself when you've been exposed to repeated interpersonal traumas by another person. After a narcissistic relationship, the triggers can easily arise from flashbacks to noise that triggers you into responding in a way that you've been programmed to respond over a prolonged period of time due to being in a relationship with a narcissist. And it takes time to unprogram our natural instincts and our natural responses. Humans have a basic biological need for safety and security. If this is compromised because of either spiritual, physical, emotional, psychological or sexual, even financial abuse, this forces your inner defense mechanism to find a way to escape what is happening to you, to avoid the situation that's happening around you and try to control it within yourself. People haven't suffered the trauma, the manipulation, the stress of being around a narcissistic person, the gaslighting. They don't always understand it or put themselves in other people's shoes. When you've been repeatedly let down, ignored, made to think things happened that didn't happen, things didn't happen that you know full well did happen, that you're the one that's done wrong, words always twisted into everything being your fault and so much more, as it is so slow, as it is so underhand, with the sudden reappearance of the person you met treating you right, to then go back to the psychological abuse. People in this situation don't see what is happening to them while they live in that situation, even when they know something isn't quite right. With the narcissist manipulation, you are the one left thinking it's all down to you, so full of self-doubt and little self-worth, and you are the one left believing that everything that's going wrong, not only within your own life, but also within the narcissist's life, is all your fault. Your subconscious kicks in to protect yourself in these situations. You might try certain things, as does a child to a narcissistic parent, to see what works, often becoming dependent on the narcissist, often trying to please the narcissist to avoid the stress, to avoid the arguments, to avoid the insults. If you get the attention you craved, even for a short time, or if it stops the abuse for a short while, it becomes a habit. You might end up with a few of these, as there are many things a narcissist will do to you that you end up protecting yourself against. You can respond in so many ways when it comes to narcissistic people. You could respond in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. When we experience stress or trauma, our bodies automatically gravitate to one. If a car suddenly comes towards you, you might think you'd like to just run, take flight, or you might panic and stand still, freeze. Children that spend a lot of time around a narcissist will carry these into adulthood. If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, you may carry them for a while afterwards. You will have used one of these four, or sometimes all four, to protect yourself against the narcissist. When you carry them with you close to the surface, it can cause problems in other areas of your life. So the key is to recognize them, because once you can recognize the habits that you have become accustomed to, you can then begin to change those habits, break down those habits, and start making life work for you. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn are either learned behaviours from growing up with a narcissistic parent or having a relationship with a narcissist as an adult. There are many reasons people go into these defensive modes, but being around a narcissist is one of them. What you did whilst you were with the narcissist is not a weakness or a flaw within yourself. You did what you needed to do in order to survive. You found the coping mechanisms to survive the relationship. You will find the coping mechanisms to survive recovery. The best news is it's learned behaviour, and you can now unlearn it and find new behaviour to learn that works for you. Whatever your situation was, however you responded, it's no better or worse than any other response, as you needed to protect yourself and you needed to respond. It's okay to escape sometimes. It's okay to zone out. It's okay to fight back. It's okay to try and be kinder. With a narcissist, you may have done all of these. Loving a narcissist more will never make them hurt you less. Fight types of reaction. We are all capable of this. It's our inner instinct to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves. The narcissist is usually, not always, but usually driven by this, usually due to some form of childhood trauma. And often, if we are more prone to going into the fight response, we can question if we are a narcissist. Narcissistic people are extremely self-centered with an exaggerated sense of self-importance. They lack empathy and they feel entitled to exploit people. The fight response is passive-aggressive behaviours, controlling, two-facers, turning from nice to nasty, nasty to nice, overly demanding, entitlement. They often end up being bullies, demanding perfection, shaming others, sociopath, narcissist. Again, people who are not on the narcissist personality disorder spectrum might turn to a fight response. If they don't feel entitled to exploit people with a lack of empathy, to care for who they hurt along the way, they're most likely not a narcissist. You need at least 5 of the 9 characteristics. However, if someone is this way and can't recognise their own behaviour, there's going to be very little you can do to help them change their own behaviour. In order for someone to change, they have to recognise their own behaviour. They have to be willing to help themselves. In the beginning, when it comes to a narcissistic relationship, you might fight back, you might cry, you might feel like punching something, you might glare at the narcissist and talk angrily, feel like stomping, feel intense anger. You might react when they push your buttons, when they bait you into reacting to them so that they can blame you. And you do it to protect yourself from any given situation you were in with the narcissist, which the narcissist will happily use against you so that you believe that they are correct and you are to blame. You believe that they are a decent person and you are the one in the wrong. Flight types subconsciously believe that perfection will make them loved and feel safe. Flight means you'll try to outrun the trauma by being hyperactive, by being obsessive, running away, hoarding, compulsive rituals, compulsive behaviours, panic, rushing, worrying, drivenness, adrenaline junkies, perfectionists. Abuse stimulants such as caffeine, chocolate, cocaine, cannabis. When you're in a flight response, your legs might feel restless, feeling numb, constantly moving legs or feet, constantly cleaning. You're tense as you feel trapped. Freeze types subconsciously disconnect to stop experiencing the pain. So those dissociative behaviours, running away from problems, isolation, couch potato, tired, hermit, lack of ambition, and a bit of a daydreamer. When you're in freeze, you might have a sense of dread. You might feel exhausted. You're sick most of the time, having trouble doing normal day-to-day things. Fawn, subconsciously seeking safety by meeting the narcissist demands and needs. This is when you find yourself in a one-sided relationship, people pleasing, over listening to what other people say, other people's opinions, becoming the class clown, being a domestic violence victim, being a slave to others, having a loss of self, becoming a bit of a doormat, grovelling, codependent. You become compliant and helpful, enabling the narcissist, meeting the narcissist demands for fear of reaction. And there's no shame in entering any of these. These are all our human instincts. They are all our survival mechanisms to survive the current situation that we are in. Only over a prolonged period of time, these survival mechanisms can stay with us. So we have to recognize them in order to change them. To recover from these, you do need to grieve, cry, scream, shout, just let it all out. Start reclaiming your assertiveness. You may be suffering from anxiety, working on your triggers one by one so that you can recognize them and you can change your behaviors, you can change your habits, you can help yourself. There's a few disorders that are associated with these long-term responses. The flight response, the disorder is narcissist personality disorder. Flight response is obsessive compulsive disorder. Freeze type, dissociative disorder. And the fawn type is codependency. These can all be altered within our minds. We just have to recognize what we are doing and then change what we are doing so that it works for us. Those of you that might have questioned if you were the narcissist after a relationship that just went into the fight survival response, no, not if you have empathy and cared and tried to help. You just went into the fight response. Those who are having obsessive rituals, obsessive thoughts, you just went into the flight response. Those who don't feel like they fit in anymore, you've just gone into freeze. And those who feel like they are a codependent have just fawned to the narcissist behaviour, all done subconsciously to protect yourself. And now it's time to unlearn these so you can teach yourself on a daily basis and find the coping mechanisms that work for you to help you survive recovery. I shall add in the video description the video on fight, flight, freeze and fawn that explains more, the video on trauma bond and the video on the signs of a narcissist. I am currently full for one-to-one coaching. I have partnered with BetterHelp and their sponsored link is in the description if you'd like to take a look at those. Thank you very much for listening. Go out there and create the day that you deserve because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.